What's good? It's your boy Hold It Down Jay. Listen, if you really want to help out the channel, I'm gonna need you to like, share, subscribe, and please comment after you finish watching the video. With that being said, let's go ahead and roll into it. We are living in spooky times right now, man. A lot of people, they can't find jobs, or they have a job and they have this fear of being laid off. One thing I will tell you is that I can never guarantee that you will never be laid off. But what I can do is give you the resources that I've learned over time to help you when a layoff does happen. Well, no. Let me not say, well, if a layoff just happens to happen to you. Luckily, I've never been laid off, but I hope to keep it that way. But also, I know if something happens to me, I'll be set because I have a plan in mind. And I'm about to give you these resources. Number one, it's been the topic of the last two videos. You need to have an emergency fund. I'm telling you, if you don't have one and these companies out here laying you off, you got to have a way to survive somehow. Yeah, I get it. A lot of y'all might say, oh, well, you got unemployment, right? But unemployment is temporary, but also is unemployment enough to help you with your way of life? Which, if you got kids or if you got a family or anything, well, unemployment help cover all that. I guarantee you it's just something to get you by, but not something that, that helps with your entire expenses. So when you do your emergency savings, you need to have everything dotted out, how much your bills are, including debt, mortgage, whatever you have, right? And you also need to have exactly 3 to 6 months. Hell, if you can reach it to 12 months, well, a year, go ahead and do that too. But always have an emergency fund, because these jobs are very unpredictable and you don't want to be on the blind side like, damn, they laid me off and I ain't got nothing to fall back on. You had that fund, that gives you a little cushion. So that way you could be like, okay, I'm not freaking out as bad. Okay, now I got time to apply somewhere else, right? Okay. So that's number one. Number two, you need to stay updated with trends. And the reason why I say that is because if your company may be using these old tools or something that's outdated, and as you know, AI and all these other tools are emerging, you need to make sure you learn new skills, whether you tuning in on Udemy or looking at new YouTube videos or doing homemade labs. You need to stay current with the current trends, because that can possibly help you keep your job secure, because it's like, all right, well, he's actually learning new things and he's very skilled. We don't really want to risk letting him go. You become more of a valuable asset, I will say. Not saying that it can't still happen, even though you know a lot. What I'm saying is, don't get too complacent. I know your job, your career, whatever, might treat you good and they have a good company and you know what I mean? They got good healthcare, all that, but don't ever get it twisted. Business is business and personal is personal. So meaning that if they need to make these budget cuts and you're on that side, whether you're a likable person or not, they will let you go. And that's the hard truth, unfortunately. You can always do side hustles while you are inside of your current job. So for example, if you have a specialty in cybersecurity, you have that niche that you're good at, go ahead on Upwork or some type of freelancing job and see what you could do, right? If you know how to run vulnerability tests or whatever, sign up for that. See if somebody's looking for a role for that, right? The skills that you have now, you want to be able to carry over elsewhere if need be. So that's another one. So yes, so you got your emergency savings, right? Almost a year. But also you got learning new skills, because everything is emerging, especially with technology and cybersecurity. Another thing I will say to help you out, I don't care that you have this job right now. You need to be job interviewing. No, seriously. I don't care that you're okay with this job. The reason why I say you need to be interviewing is because if you stay ready, you ain't got to worry about being ready, okay? I need you to literally be doing interviews at least once a month. You don't want to get in the habit of, when you haven't interviewed in so long, that you get nervous and then now it's time to do your interview and you're like, oh my God, like I'm so nervous. Because let's be real, applying for a job feels like a full-time job sometimes, especially you like 80 applications in and not one person called you or said yes to you and everybody keeps saying no. That definitely hurts. So you want to make sure you at the best of your game. And which way is best than not to actually prepare yourself to do it? So yes, you need to know exactly what works and what doesn't work. You got to do interviews. I still do interviews. I do it because I don't ever want to get uncomfortable with not interviewing, because I train or I treat myself as if I'm getting laid off tomorrow. It's not always a good habit. It will save you, but at the same time, it can be stressful. So I will give you a warning about that. But you never want to think that everything with your career is good, because sometimes what I realized that things can go dark real quick and you got to be prepared for that. So, okay. you got your interview preparation. You're doing interviews, you're doing all that, and etc. The next thing you need to do, and when you do your job interview, one thing I like to do is I like to actually form questions. Don't just Google and be like cybersecurity analyst questions, right? One thing I need you to do is not just worry about Googling cybersecurity questions in an interview, because most likely everybody's going to have different questions. And sometimes they have scenario-based questions that's super unique to their environment. And they want you to know, what would you do in that situation? So I'm gonna need you to go a little extra step further and take advantage of things like AI. I personally like Google Gemini when I do my interview questions. Reason being is because Google Gemini, they got Google, you know what I mean? They got access to all these sites. So what they can do is extract all these websites and form their own opinion based off of what the questions may be, and also, give you some curveball type questions to help you prepare. So that's how I want you to step your game up. I really want you to take advantage of AI and tell them, and you could build a prompt like this. I'm gonna give you the real breakdown. You could say, you are an expert in cybersecurity, and I am applying for this role. And it could be a senior incident response specialist at Burger King. You paste that link inside there, and then you say under that, based off that description, I need you to form interview questions based off what they may ask me for this role. And then you could break it down from situational, technical, right? And that way you do that, and then you can come back and, if you don't know the answer to certain things, just use AI to, hey, how would you answer this, right? That helps you build that rapport, help you build that relationship with getting comfortable with interviewing. Because I'm telling you, your first impression is everything, and you want to make sure you are as trained as possible for that. So definitely take advantage of AI. I'm not saying you got to spend 4 hours studying for it, but at least give yourself 25, 30 minutes, look over the questions, and also do some labs to help you with that applied theory knowledge, right? So if you're talking about, I don't know, like intrusion detection systems, right? And then before you do that, do a lab that's based off intrusion detection systems, and then you answer that question. Because instead of you just reading a question, you can actually reflect in your mind, oh, I did that lab. Oh yeah, that's what this does. And then now it comes into, you can talk about it from a personal level because you actually did it. But not only that, it's that applied theory knowledge. And that's what's going to help you, pave the way for what you want. Okay, now that we got that, lead into the other question. And before you even do applications and everything, you really need to build your resume. And you need to be updating it every single, I ain't even gonna say that, bi-weekly at least bi-weekly to a month. I even be a little bit more generous, bi-weekly to a month. Because a lot of times we are getting in the habits where you'll work at a job for 5-6 years, and then all of a sudden you ready to do a career change, and what happens? Boy, I gotta do this resume. I ain't update my resume in 6 years. And then look at you. You got a resume, outdated, the format probably, weak. And then you got all these accomplishments. You know how much you can do in 6 years? I've done a lot in 1 year, so I couldn't imagine not going away for 6 years. So stop waiting until the time that you have to do it to do something you need to be doing. You need to be getting on it right now, seriously. I literally update my resume every time when I actually apply for role. You have to be comfortable with editing your resume, because that's what's going to really help you out here inside the tech space. And when I say update, right? Every year, if your company has a performance report, what I need you to do, take your top 3 accomplishments that you did and have a little spreadsheet. Well, not a spreadsheet, but a Google Doc or Microsoft Word document or something, and list those bullet points. And these accomplishments, right? They don't necessarily, what I want you to do, just list them for right now. Just list all those accomplishments that you did annually for your performance. Right? Once you take those performances, what I need you to do after that is, once again, take advantage of AI like Claude or any GPT you want to use, right? And have them convert the actual bullets based off of the role that you're trying to apply for. And you can say, hey, this is what I do. And you can say, hey, I'm currently a cybersecurity analyst, but I want to be a cybersecurity threat researcher from this site. Paste the link again. Here are the bullets that I've accomplished. And you could tell it, please use this URL to paste my accomplishments, but with a major impact. And what it's going to do is it's going to custom your bullets to that website to where it looks attractive, to where, recruiters be like, oh, okay. He do fit the description. All right, he cool. That's the thing. You don't have to be a perfect resume builder. It's tools out here, man, but you got to know know how to tweak and actually, build your prompts a little better, and you can work with that. So, okay, you got that. You converted your resume bullets and you got a whole list of them. And I see this mistake happen so many times. What I will say is that if you stick to like a one role, so let's say you're looking for cybersecurity analyst roles, it makes it a lot easier because you don't have to tweak your resume as much. And I say this because it leads to my next point. Do not use one resume for all roles. It don't work like that. I don't care if they're all cybersecurity related. If I'm a cybersecurity analyst, I'm not going to use the same resume I would to if I'm a cybersecurity analyst, I'm not going to use the same resume to apply for a vulnerability management position. There's a difference. One role might be threat hunting. The other one might be to look for weaknesses and exploit vulnerabilities inside of the system. You can't use the same resume because it's not going to work. You might get lucky here and there, but if you're wondering why you applying to all these roles and you're not getting no blessings, I mean, that's why. You got to really tweak your resume according. And sometimes, I'm going to be honest, sometimes I even use one resume, and even if there are multiple cybersecurity analyst positions, I still tweak it because you know what? Every company might use different tools that doesn't match what your resume has. Nobody cares that, use Splunk if they over here using Sentinel. That's what I mean. It's just like you really have to read the description, or at least have AI read it for you. You can literally paste a link inside Google and they'll literally scrape the website and they'll tell you exactly what that role is looking for. You can even upload your resume. I convert it into I put it in Google Docs, and then I'll attach it to Gemini, and I'll be like, hey, this is the role I'm looking for. Paste the link. I attach my resume. I'll be like, hey, read through my resume. Tell me what I can do better to complement this resume for this role so I can get an interview. Because a lot of times too, what's even harder now, especially with AI, because everything is being automated and scanned and stuff, was being difficult is that a lot of these HR people, they're not even really reading resumes like that anymore. If there's thousands of resumes coming in, if you don't have the right keywords and stuff, you'll get rejected. It might not even get to the hiring manager. So you have to be very aware of things like that. You have to be very careful. You got to be precise, and you got to stay on top of your game. And literally tweaking your resume every time is going to help. And this was what can help as well. If you want to, let's say you don't want to limit yourself to one role, that's cool. If you want to be a cybersecurity engineer, you want to be a vulnerability analyst, 3 of them. Okay, literally make 3 different resumes. So all you got to do when you look for a role is just literally, make little tweaks here and there. It shouldn't be nothing too crazy, right? But it all depends what the job is asking for. Can you meet that? And this is good exercise because not only can you pass this knowledge down to everybody, but also you can use those skills within that resume. Not only is this good practice to do in your resume, but another thing that helps as well is that when you have knowledge like this, you actually know what works and what doesn't. Imagine using your resume from 6 years ago, right? You had a little method with your resumes back when humans was reading resumes. You go ahead and upload it 6 years later. It may not work. It may not go through. You know what I mean? Those is probably old methods that don't even work anymore. You may have like lengthy bullets and stuff that may work in the past, but now a lot of times they be wanting stuff to all fit on one page. If not, no more than 2. So it's very tricky out here. You have to be very careful. But the thing is that if you don't try to apply, you will never know exactly the impact or if your resume is even working. Is it getting in the right people's hands? That is another problem. Another thing I will say is that when this happens, you need to be networking, man. That's one thing I do. I will network. I'm talking to at least 2 different new people on LinkedIn every day and on other social medias. Because if somebody's a vice president or a director at a cybersecurity department, and you want to have that rapport, because if something happens to you, you want to be like, hey, you got anything open? And they'll remember, but you always leave a good impression. Always leave a good impression, and don't ever burn bridges that you can't come back from. Your network is your net worth. I love that saying. It's true. A lot of times you get so caught up in being so technical that in reality, that if you ever meet a director at these networking events and etc., and you show how passionate you are, a lot of times they'll probably let you in, like for sure. Because it's not because, oh, he's just or he or she is just such a friendly person, right? But they see that, wow, I see passion in this person. I might not have experience in this, but I can work with this. And that's one of the factors that you have to take in consideration when you're dealing with situations like that. Take advantage of it. Network to people, connect with people, follow people, talk to them. Go to your dream career that you always wanted to work. Well, the dream company that you wanted to work at. And you know what I mean? You can look on the search bar and let's say a security researcher at Microsoft, and then they'll list the people for you. Connect with them, talk to them, tell them who you are. Let them know I'm interested in, some people they even do a phone call with you. If they local, they might even have coffee with you. You just never know. Because people not like savages like you think. People ain't really like rude like that. Some people are, but it's very rare. You know what I mean? Worst case, they just don't reply back. And that's cool. Guess what? Just reach out to somebody else. It's not that hard. You just got to be willing to put in that work. You don't put in that work, you can't expect results. And that's just simply how it goes. All right. So I just gave y'all some game with that, man. Like I said, like, share, subscribe, and comment on my video. Let me know what y'all think. And also, what would y'all have done in the situation? What do you do to help you prepare? Because maybe I didn't say anything to help you out, but maybe you can say something to help me out. I don't know. Let's help each other out. Go ahead and comment below, man, and let me know what y'all think. All right? And please, buy me a coffee. I got the link in the description, man. I love coffee. You know that. I love tea too. But anyways, it's your boy Hold It Down, Jay, man. I'ma holla at y'all. See y'all next Sunday at 12. Peace.